He remembered to kiss her. I didn't. Remember to kiss Janet. Yeah, that's it. That, my brother, that, my brother, is the emblem of morality and a special badge of a master's office. It should constantly remind you that not only by precept, but also by example, you should promote good morals among the brethren, and thus endeavor to avert the shadow of any scandal or reproach against the fraternity. Your former life has given evidence that this jewel will not be an unmeaning symbol in your hands, and I solemnly charge you to take good care that its luster not be dimmed by any act of yours. I now present you the Book of Holy Writings. It is the great light in Masonry, and should ever be the great law of brotherhood. It will guide you in all truth, it will direct you in eternal happiness, and in attentive regard to the divine precepts it contains will ensure your success in the fulfillment of the duties you are now about to assume. The working tools of this craft will next be given to you that, as the master workman, you may instruct the craftsmen in the various duties and virtues which they have been selected to illustrate. The square, your jewel, you can show everybody the square, teaches us to well regulate our every action and to let our conduct be governed by the principles of morality and virtue. The compasses teach us to limit our desires in every station and never to suffer the passions or prejudices to become the masters of our judgment. The rule directs the undeviating discharge of all our duties, and we should press forward in the straight path of right and truth without inclining to the one hand or to the other, in all of our doings having eternity in view. The plumb line is an emblem of moral rectitude. It teaches us to avoid all dissimulation and to pursue the honest and upright course in life, which will tend to our elevation to the higher realms of immortality. There are still other important things which you will receive in charge. The Book of Constitutions you are expected to diligently search, and from time to time to cause its contents to be read in your lodge, that none may remain ignorant of the precepts it enjoins of the ordinances which it promulgates. This book is the Book of Bylaws of your lodge, which it will be your special duty to carefully and punctually execute. This is the charter. Under the authority in which your lodge is held, in which you are carefully to preserve and duly transmit to your successor in the master's chair. You will now proceed. Brother Marshall, you will now present the senior warden-elect.
Station Master, I now present to you for installation Brother Mark Brown, who has been duly elected senior warden of this lodge. He is of good morals, true and trusty, and possesses the love and confidence of his brethren. He is proficient in the ritual of our order, as tested on his certificate.
Brother Mark Brown, you've been duly elected senior warden of this lodge, and I now invest you with the distinctive badge of your honorable station. The level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, that we partake of the same nature and share the same hope, and that although distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. And for he who is placed in the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard, because of a time will come that the wisest know not how soon, when all distinction save that of goodness shall cease in death. The mighty leveler of human greatness reduce us all to the same state. We don't talk like this. Your regular attendance in our sacred meetings is essentially necessary, and in the absence of the master, you are to govern the lodge. In his presence, you are to assist him in the government of it. I firmly rely on your knowledge of masonry and attachment to the lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of this important trust. Look well to the west. Brother Marshall, you will next present the junior warden, Ileska.
Worship Master, I now present to you for installation Brother James Jennings, who has been duly elected by this lodge and serves as senior warden for the ensuing year. He is proficient in the ritual of our order, as attested to this certificate.
Brother JJ, you've been elected junior warden of this lodge, and I now invest you with this high badge, the badge of your high position. Good, you know. I was waiting for Go Gadget Arm. And, you know. The plumb admonishes us to walk uprightly in our several stations, to hold the scale of justice in equal poise, to observe the just medium between intemperance and pleasure, and to make our passions and prejudices coincide with the line of our duty. To you is committed the superintendence of the craft during the hours of refreshment, and it is therefore indispensably necessary that you should not only temperate in the indulgence of your own inclinations, but that you should carefully observe that none of the craft suffer to convert the means of refreshment into intemperance and excess. Your regular and punctual attendance is particularly requested, and I have no doubt that you will faithfully execute the duty you owe to your present appointments. Look well to the south. Brenda, would you mind being front down? Brother Marshall, you will next present the treasurer-elect. Brother Phil Houghton, you have been elected the treasurer of this lodge, and I now invest you with the jewel of your office.
Worshipful Master, I take pleasure in presenting you to Brother Phil Houghton, who has been elected treasurer to this lodge. See here.
Okay, now you've been elected as treasurer of this lodge, and you can be invested with the badge in your office. So ready to get paid, The keys forming the jewel of your station have a twofold significance. They are the instruments to bind us well as to make loose, to make fast as well as to open. They will never, I am confident, be used by you in any other manner than that in which the Constitution, laws, and regulations of the lodge shall direct. You will receive all monies from the Secretary, keep a just and accurate account thereof, and pay the same out by order of the worshipful master and with the consent of the lodge. Brother Marshall? Brother Marshall, you will next present. I'm gonna keep you running, brother. You will now present the secretary-elect. Then I'm gonna wait for you. Brother George, is Dorothy here today? You guys
Yeah. Tough crowd.
Worshipful Master, I take pleasure in presenting to you worshipful Brother George Mather, who has been elected secretary of this lodge for the ensuing year.
Worshipful Brother George, you've been elected secretary of this lodge, and I will now invest you with the badge of your office. Yes, you've had some practice. Investing you with your official jewel, the pens, I am persuaded that they will make an endearing record, not only of your praise, but also the welfare of this lodge. It is your duty to observe the will and pleasure of the worshipful master, to keep a faithful record of all things proper to be written, transmit a copy of the same to the Grand Lodge when required, receive all monies from the brethren, pay the same to the treasurer, and take his receipt, therefore. Worshipful Brother Marshall, you escort him to the room. Worshipful Brother Marshall, you will now present the brother who has been appointed Marshal of this lodge. Mom?
Worshipful Master, I take pleasure in presenting to you Brother John Enlow, who has been appointed Marshal of this lodge.
Brother John, you've been appointed Marshal of this lodge, and I now present you with the jewel and symbol of your office.
Both arms.
The baton is an emblem of command and is sufficiently significant in your duties. You will, under the direction of the Master, take charge of all processions of the lodge, and as the proper performance of any ceremonies will depend on the manner in which your duties are discharged, you are enjoined to be most careful in their performance. You will now take your proper place. Brother Marshall, you will now present the brethren who have been appointed to serve this lodge as senior and junior deacons. There's never a dull moment in this lodge.
Worshipful Master, I have the pleasure to present to you for installation Brother Jonathan Duffel and Brother Bill Wright, who have been appointed to serve this lodge as senior and junior deacons.
Brother Jonathan, Bill, I believe you're late. You're Brandy and... That is correct. Come on up. You've been appointed as deacons of this lodge and will now receive the jewels of your office. They indicate that it is your province to attend upon the master and wardens and to act as their proxies in the active duties of the lodge. It will be your special duty, Brother Senior Deacon, to carry orders from the worshipful master in the east to the senior warden in the west and elsewhere about the lodge as required, to attend all alarms at the door of the preparation room, to receive and conduct candidates during their initiation and introduce and accommodate visiting brethren. You, Brother Junior Deacon, will carry messages from the senior warden in the west to the junior warden in the south and elsewhere about the lodge as directed. You will attend all alarms at the door of the preparation, all alarms at the door, I don't do that, and to see that the lodge is duly tied. These rods, my brothers, distinctive of your office, will now be entrusted to your care in delivering them from past appointment in the lodge, that your duties will be discharged with ability and zeal. I now dismiss you to your respective places. Worship Brother Marshall, you will present the brethren who are to serve this lodge as stewards. This would be 1 in 20.
Personal Master, I take pleasure in presenting to you Brother Sean Lafitte and Brother Patrick Powers, who have been appointed to serve this lodge as stewards with the ensuing Masonic years.
Brothers, are your ladies here? Your ladies will step forward. Where's my lady? Where's Janet? Janet, will you step forward? There's a reason for this one. She finally got a kiss for an installation. I'll tell you all the story later about why I'm kissing. In olden times, your province was to superintend and to provide for the festivals of the craft, to assist in the collection of duties and subscriptions, to keep an account of the expenses for refreshments, and to see that the table is properly supplied, and every brother suitably provided for. In later times, however, the provision of actual refreshments in the lodges has generally ceased, and your functions will now be to prepare candidates for the admission and to perform those duties with the Masonic custom has assigned to your days of procession. Receive the jewels of your office, together with the white rods, and repair to your respective places. Worshipful Brother Marshall, you will now present the brother who has been appointed to be Tyler of this lodge. While he's gathering them together here, I want to make a point to say that the last 4 brothers that were just installed, the stewards and the deacons, have all been Masons for less than 2 years? Less than 2 years. 3 of them for less than a year. And the brother that's about to be installed has been a Master Mason for how long? Since 1964. He left the lodge for quite some time and didn't come back until fairly recently. And as soon as he came back, he jumped in with both feet as an officer of the lodge. So I wanted to make a point of that. Mel, you've done a phenomenal job over the past couple of years.